You ever get a 72-hour eviction notice taped to your door for refusing to comply with community aesthetic standards when all you did was repaint your mailbox? Yeah. That actually happened. 3 months after moving into Sweetwater Pine's charming name, not so charming people, I found myself in a full-blown turf war with a woman named Deborah Langston. If you don't know a Deborah Langston, count yourself lucky. She's the type of woman who still uses cursive to label her spice jars, owns 7 pairs of identical white capris, and treats HOA rules like they're carved in stone tablets from Mount Sinai. And somehow, she made me public enemy number 1 over a can of matte black spray paint. Let me back up a sec. My name's Alex, 38, single dad, freelance graphic designer. After the divorce, I needed a reset. Found a small 2-bed, 1-bath ranch on a quiet cul-de-sac, figured it was the kind of place I could rebuild peaceful, affordable, safe. I even liked the neighbors at first. Smiles, waves, the occasional cute dog, when my terrier, Miso, sniffed their hedges. But then, week 2, I repainted the mailbox. It was rusted and streaky, and I thought a fresh matte black would look clean, you know. Sleek. Modern. The kind of detail you'd see in a magazine. Apparently, Deborah thought it looked gothic. Next morning, there's a neon orange sticky note slapped onto the post, repaint in accordance with HOA Color Standard Section 4.2b. No signature, just that tidy little script like she was grading homework. I thought it was a prank at first. I mean, who inspects mailboxes before breakfast? But then I noticed other things. My trash can was dragged half an inch back from the curb, a photo of my grass was uploaded to the HOA portal with a passive-aggressive caption, and someone filed a report accusing me of non-native flora introduction. Which, for the record, was a potted rosemary plant. And every time something happened, there she was, Deborah, standing just far enough to pretend it wasn't her, arms crossed, cardigan draped perfectly, watching. I tried being civil. I emailed the HOA asking if there was actually a regulation about mailbox colors. Turns out, there wasn't. Or rather, the rulebook hadn't been updated since 1998, and it only mentioned that mailboxes should reflect the general tone of the neighborhood. Whatever that means. So I let it go. Until the eviction notice showed up. Taped crookedly to my door, stamped with some knockoff logo Deborah must have made on Microsoft Publisher, it claimed I was in chronic violation of HOA mandates, and had 72 hours to remove the mailbox, trim my hedges to regulation height, and reassess front porch decor. Yeah. My porch decor. A rocking chair and a doormat that said, "Hope you like dogs." I brought the letter to an actual HOA board member, this guy Marcus, mid-40s, wore polo shirts even when it rained. He blinked like he'd just seen a ghost. "Deborah sent this." "Apparently," I said. He sighed. "Look, technically she's not on the board anymore, she stepped down last year. But she still acts like she runs things. Most people just let her." And that's when I realized she'd gotten away with this for years because no one pushed back. Well, I'm not most people. I dug into the HOA bylaws, all 86 dusty pages. Found typos, outdated clauses, and wait for it, no actual enforcement authority for individual members. The only power came from majority board votes. And guess what? Deborah was just a civilian. A retired librarian with a God complex. So I made copies. Highlighted everything. Next neighborhood meeting, I showed up early, notepad in hand, blazer on, full dad energy. When it was time for public comment, I cleared my throat and said, I'd like to submit a motion to formally censure any resident falsely acting under HOA authority. Dead silence. Deborah, sitting front row in a flower blouse that looked like it came with a warning label, narrowed her eyes. "This isn't how we do things," she snapped. I held up the bylaws. "Actually, it is. Then came the twist. Turns out, I wasn't the only one she targeted. After the meeting, 3 neighbors approached me. One woman, Jenna, said Deborah made her repaint her door twice because it was too cheerful. Another guy, Ron, got fined $100 unofficially for leaving his garden hose uncoiled. Deborah had even threatened to report a family for operating a business because their teen was tutoring kids in algebra from the garage. It wasn't just annoying anymore. It was harassment. So we banded together. I created a group chat, Free Pans Coalition. Catchy, right? Within a week, we had 12 members. Then 20. Then 32. People started comparing notes, sharing screenshots, printing off letters she'd sent. We called a special vote. The HOA bylaws allowed for the election of a code compliance officer, a role with actual enforcement power, but only if elected by majority vote. Deborah had never been elected. She'd just assumed the title like a queen with no crown. The vote passed. I won. My first act. Repealed 3 fake policies she'd written herself. My second. Drafted a cease and desist. 4 more. Legal. Delivered by a smiling process server wearing a t-shirt that said, "The rules apply to you too." The day Deborah got that letter, she stood on her porch with a blank expression like the software in her brain had glitched. She disappeared for 2 weeks after that. No clipboard. No printed notes. Just silence. But the neighborhood. It bloomed. Literally. Jenna painted her door sunshine yellow. Ron coiled his hose into a little heart shape just for laughs. The tutoring garage got turned into a full-on community learning hub. And me. I added solar lights to the mailbox. Just to make sure no one missed it. Then one morning, I saw Deborah trimming her roses. No clipboard. No audience. She looked quiet. Not defeated, exactly, just more. She waved at me. First time ever. I nodded back. Maybe people like her don't change. Maybe they just shrink when enough of us stand tall. But hey, maybe that's enough. So here's my question: where do you draw the line between keeping order and just flat out controlling people? Have you ever had a Deborah on your block? Drop a comment. Share your story. Because the more we talk about it, the harder it is for people like her to keep getting away with it. Let's bring the power back to the porches.